Across South Africa, millions of citizens rely on key social support programs to survive, from pensions to unemployment benefits. These programs are a lifeline for many, particularly for the elderly, unemployed, and vulnerable members of society. But recently, we've been hearing whispers about changes that could drastically affect these essential services. The South African government has been largely silent about these potential cuts, leaving many to speculate about what's coming next. Specifically, there are growing concerns surrounding the future of three crucial programs: SASSA grants, UIF benefits, and the GEPF pension fund. Today, we are diving into what could be on the horizon for these services, why the government has remained silent, and how these changes could impact millions of South Africans. Stick with us to find out what's really going on behind closed doors and how you might be affected in the near future. Before we dive into the potential changes, it's important to understand exactly what SASSA, UIF, and GEPF are and why they matter so much to South Africa's population. SASSA, or the South African Social Security Agency, is the government body responsible for distributing social grants to millions of citizens. This includes some of the most vital financial assistance programs in the country, such as the Child Support Grant, Old Age Pension, Disability Grants, and more. For many South Africans, especially those living in poverty, these grants represent their only source of income. Without them, families would struggle to survive, and the socio-economic consequences could be disastrous. The UIF, or Unemployment Insurance Fund, serves a similarly crucial purpose. It offers temporary financial relief to workers who have lost their jobs, helping them stay afloat while they search for new employment. The UIF covers various types of benefits, such as unemployment benefits, maternity leave, and sick leave, making it a safety net for those in the workforce who face unexpected hardship. In a country like South Africa, where unemployment rates are alarmingly high, the UIF has been a lifeline for thousands of workers who suddenly find themselves without an income. Then there's the GEPF, the Government Employees Pension Fund. This fund is one of the largest pension schemes in the country and provides retirement benefits for government employees. For many people who have spent their careers in public service, the GEPF is their primary means of securing a stable future. After decades of work, these pension payouts are meant to offer financial security and peace of mind in their retirement years. Given the vital role all three of these programs play, any potential cuts or restructuring would have far-reaching effects on the most vulnerable groups in society. Now, let's talk about the silence coming from the government on this issue. Despite numerous reports in the media and rising concern from advocacy groups, unions, and citizens, the South African government has remained largely quiet about the potential cuts to funding for SASSA, UIF, and GEPF. Over the past few months, there has been a growing sense of uncertainty, but no clear answers have been provided. What makes the situation particularly alarming is that the Treasury's most recent budget proposal indicated a reduction in the amount of money allocated to these programs. Although no official statement has been issued, there are reports that some inside sources within government have hinted at significant cuts to social grants, unemployment benefits, and even pension payouts. But without an official announcement, speculation has been running rampant. Some experts believe that the government is waiting for the right time to disclose these changes, while others think they may be trying to avoid a public outcry. The silence, however, is raising a lot of concerns. The longer the government remains tight-lipped, the more anxious citizens become, especially those who rely on these programs for their daily survival. For those who rely on the GEPF pension, the potential changes could be equally devastating. For government employees who have spent years, sometimes decades, serving the public, the GEPF is the key to a stable and comfortable retirement. Any cuts to pension payouts would directly affect their quality of life, forcing retirees to make tough choices about how to spend their money. They might have to forego necessary medical treatments, downsize their homes, or even go back to work in their retirement years just to make ends meet. If the government decides to reduce pension benefits, it would not only affect retirees but also send a message to younger generations about the future of their retirement security. The GEPF is one of the largest pension funds in the country, and changes to it could spark broader concerns about the stability of other retirement funds across South Africa. Why has the government been so silent on this issue? What is behind the decision to potentially reduce funding for SASSA, UIF, and GEPF? Part of the reason for the silence might be political. Public backlash against cuts to social programs is often swift and fierce. The government may be trying to avoid triggering protests or uprisings, especially in light of the country's already tense political climate. Any decision to reduce social support programs could easily spark massive protest, and given the high unemployment rate and growing frustration with the government's handling of economic issues, this could lead to widespread unrest. On the other hand, there are also significant financial pressures that the government is facing. South Africa's economy is in a fragile state, with high unemployment, slow growth, and a rising cost of living. In such a scenario, the government may feel that reducing funding for social programs is necessary to balance the national budget and avoid further economic decline. However, this could come at the expense of the most vulnerable citizens, who have already been bearing the brunt of economic hardships. There is also the question of political maneuvering. Some factions within the government may argue that cuts to social programs are necessary for fiscal stability in the long run, while others may be deeply opposed to such measures, fearing the electoral consequences. It's clear that behind the scenes, a political battle is being fought over how to balance the budget without alienating the electorate. So, what's next? Will these cuts actually happen? And if they do, what will be the impact on South Africa's most vulnerable citizens? At this point, it's difficult to say for sure. The government could decide to take a more cautious approach and implement gradual reductions, allowing the public to adjust. Alternatively, they could introduce drastic cuts, with immediate consequences for millions of South Africans. If the government chooses the latter path, it would likely lead to widespread protest and unrest. The potential fallout from such a move would be severe, as it would affect some of the country's most vulnerable groups, the elderly, the unemployed, and those with disabilities. On the other hand, if the government takes a more measured approach, it might be able to soften the blow, but even then, the financial hardships faced by South Africa's poorest citizens would likely increase. For those who rely on these programs, it's important to stay informed about any developments. Keep an eye on the government statements, watch for updates from SASSA, UIF, and GEPF, and be prepared for whatever changes might come. In the coming weeks and months, the future of South Africa's social safety nets will become clearer. The government's silence on these crucial issues is unsettling, and the potential cuts to SASSA grants, UIF benefits, and GEPF pensions are creating a sense of unease among the country's most vulnerable populations. The impact of these changes will be felt far and wide, and it's vital that citizens stay informed and prepared for the challenges ahead. If you rely on these programs, now is the time to pay attention and start planning for the future. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe for more updates on this unfolding story. Let us know in the comments how you think these cuts will affect you and your community. We'll continue to bring you the latest developments as they happen.